In demonolatry, we can actually correlate the elements themselves and the elemental kings and the demonic forces to the chakras, the actual chakra system. It's a slightly different or a different approach, but I was asked to talk about this, and so let's look into it. Welcome back to my channel. As per usual, I'm Lee Johnson, and if you like my content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when videos are coming out. And if you are so inclined, please share and comment. I'd love to hear from you. You can also support the channel by hitting the join button, and if a particular video helps you out, you can give it a super thanks. All right, let's have a look at chakras and demonic forces. Now, there's a few things we can discuss here. There are two great books that I actually want to mention. The first one is Divine Meditations, Mastering the Darkness Within by M. King. This one, excellent book. It's got some fantastic meditations and practices in there. The other one is called Demonic Shamanism by William Briar. Also, excellent book. If you want to get into journey work, and you know, we can, in both books, we can actually correlate all of this with ascension work. Actually opening up, freeing the energies, freeing the negative energies that are holding you back, clearing the chakras, things like that. All of this helps with journey work and with, therefore, ascension work. Okay, so let's have a look at Divine Meditations first. The reason why I bring this one up, now the meditations in this book are rather potent, so take them slowly. If you get the book and you start working through the meditations, take them slowly. There is a chakra dissolution meditation in here. It comes with a whole load of warnings. Let's just have a look. All right, so basically what this meditation actually does, as I say, it's called the chakra dissolution meditation. So what you're going to do is you're going to take each chakra, you are going to dissolve it into the darkness, and then you are going to bring the light back into it, reconstruct it, and, you know, get the chakra moving again. And with that dissolution of the chakra into the darkness, you do tend to get a lot of imagery, visualization. You might feel demonic forces, entities coming through, things like that, and you have to allow that to come. Just let it run freely, just allow the bliss and the ecstasy to actually come through, and just don't stop it, don't try and hold it back. Now, there are some, I'm going to just read the warnings first, just so you know that this isn't something to just try on a Sunday and play around with. It does say at the end here, note, please take care when performing this meditation. The dark energies that you are awakening can have a tendency to put you into a very dark place. This is normal for this type of work. Do know that this is all temporary and not permanent. However, if you do reach a point to where things begin to spiral out of control for you, seek some form of professional help. So as I said, it's mostly to dissolve each chakra into darkness, and through that dissolution, it actually removes negative energy that is holding you back from your ascension work and such similar works. But the basic principle is that you, with each chakra, you take the seed sound. So, for instance, with Muladhara, the root chakra, the seed sound is Lam. The next one, the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana, the seed sound is Vam. What you do is, with each one, you take that seed sound and you reverse it. So, when you're working on the root chakra, Muladhara, you don't intone Lam, you intone Mal. So you just reverse the seed sound and then just go through all the visualizations and everything. I would recommend getting this book. It is, as I say, it's a brilliant book. It's fantastic. So there is that, which is a demonic practice, demonolatry practice. Now the other one I wanted to talk about was the work that's in Demonic Shamanism by William Briar. Now, what he speaks about, he refers to Bon Buddhism, which is an old shamanic path. And in Bon Buddhism, they actually refer to 5 chakras instead of the 7 chakra system that we normally come across, especially in Western society. Now, when we look at chakras, we do usually look at the 7 chakra system. However, those are not the only chakras that we have. There are actually chakras below the root chakra, and those, you could get into a whole discussion about past lives and stuff with this. In Buddhist philosophy, theory, we go through various incarnations, and you may have come from an incarnation which is an animal into a human. And the animals actually have these chakras in their bodies, which are the ones that are below our root chakra. When they actually reach that point of their highest chakra, it actually starts to then form into the chakra system we have from root upwards. There's a huge discussion we can have revolving around this, but it's going to go way off track if we do. But when we look at the chakra systems, they're all different chakra systems. There are some that have got 9 chakras. There are some that have got 11 chakras. But a chakra is a whirling spiral of energy. It's a whirl, WHORL, difficult to pronounce. A whirl. So it's actually a spiraling, spinning energy. And so if we actually were to view the body in its energetic form, you'd see thousands of spiraling whirls. And some are more prominent than others. Some are very small, some are big. Some do tie in with particular energy centers, like the 7 chakras. But we also have them in the palms of our hands. We have them in the soles of our feet. So we have them in our wrists. We have them in our temples. There's just loads and loads of them. But we refer to this 7 chakra system because they tie into the central column, Sushumna, which travels up the spine. And so these particular chakra centers, these spinning spiral energy centers, are connected to these particular points, and these are very prominent. They are very necessary to balance our energy system and things like that. However, we can get into the 9 chakra system. Then we are talking about the normal 7 up to our crown. Then we have the 8th, and then we have the 9th, which is the center. So we can go into all different systems and everything else. But in his book, Demonic Shamanism, he speaks specifically about Bon Buddhism, which refers to the 5 chakra system. And this then refers to or relates to the 5 elements, which we find in Chinese theory, Chinese practice. But obviously, bringing that into a demonolatry format, we have the 5 elemental kings, the normal 4 elements, and then spirit, or all, or ether. So that whole 5 chakra system actually relates quite nicely. Now, with the 5 chakra system, what we're looking at is crown or head. We are then looking at throat, heart, belly, and groin. This then we can relate to Kabbalistic practice, to practical Kabbalah, where we find the valves and the elements in the same 5 points. So we also have a 5 chakra. It's not, I guess it's not really, it is a chakra system. You are working with energy centers. But, you know, it's a bit broader than the crown, which is a specific point, and the third eye, which is a specific point at the base of the skull, the throat, which is a specific point on the spine, etc., etc., etc. You know, when we're talking about this, we're talking about the crown, the head. This is where we find air. It's E. You know, then we go to the throat, which is the vowel sound air, and then into the heart, which is ah. The belly is o, and then the groin is u. So we have the different vowel sounds. Now, this is slightly different when we actually look at what William Briar, how he actually formats the whole thing. Because in the Kabbalistic system, we've got air, earth, fire in the heart, water in the belly, and then the groin would be your U, which is your universal life force. It's the big eye in the sky. So in this case, we can refer to ether, spirit. Now, with William Briar's system, you are starting with the crown, where we are invoking Satan, which is all ether, spirit, and then going through the 4 elements. So you can work with that system, or you can work with the Kabbalistic system. I do like the Kabbalistic system, probably just because that's where I came from before actually focusing more on demonolatry. Who knows? So whatever feels better for you. So with William Briar's system, what you're going to do is, also I suggest getting this book and just reading through this properly. I'm skimming through. I'm not going into a hell of a lot of detail here. But what you basically do, you imagine a bright light coming down from the heavens, and it comes into the crown and it illuminates the head. And then what you do is you intone the name Satan, Satan. Then you bring that light down into the throat where it becomes a yellow light. And here you then vibrate the word Renich, which translates to air. If you remember, if you haven't actually checked it out yet, or if you remember, when you are going around the circle, constructing the circle, the elemental circle, you're going to each demonic force and you are vibrating their N, or intoning their N. And for instance, air, Lucifer in the east is Renek Tasso Baraka Biasa Ika Lucifer. It starts with the word Renek. Renek. And that means air. When you get to Flerius, it starts with Ganik, which is fire. In the west is Leviathan, that starts with Jaden, which is water. And then Belial in the north, south, depending on which hemisphere you're in. But in the earth position is then Lirach. So that's Lirach means earth. It starts with that, all right? So you bring that light into your head, vibrate Satan, bring it into your throat, it becomes yellow. You vibrate Renich, which is air. Bring it into your heart where it becomes red. This is fire, so you vibrate Ganik. Then you bring it into your belly, which is the watery space, so that's Jaden. And then into the groin, which is the earth. That's connecting you. It's becoming the root chakra. That's connecting you to, or grounding you. And therefore you vibrate Lirach. And then you let, it goes yellow, red into the heart, fire, Ganik, blue. Then it becomes blue as it comes down into the belly. And it's water, Jaden. And then it goes into the groin where the light becomes green, like a foresty, big, sacred, strong oak, kind of green. And then that's earth, so you vibrate Lirach. And then you just let the ball continue, the energy ball, the light ball of light, just continue down into the earth where it disappears. All right, and it goes through your entire central system, and it takes all the negative energy, all the releases all tension and anxiety and things like that, and takes it down into the earth. All right, so it's a great practice, a great meditation to do actually. But as I said, if you want to switch, start with air in the head, because this is where we think, and air is the element of thinking, whereas Breyer has brought air into the throat, which is more about speaking. So it's about voicing your thoughts, which is then bringing them into materialization, which is that earthy kind of element. Then we have fire in the chest, which is passion. And then we have water in the belly, because the belly is a very watery area. It's where your guts are, where things are flowing, and all that mushy stuff. And then coming into the groin, where we have spirit, which is creation. So depending on how you want to view this, what system you want to work with, you can switch this around. You can work with Breyer system, or you can work with the Kabbalistic system and just switch the elements and the vibe, the intoning, the particular things. You can completely change this. You can go with practical Kabbalah and vibrate the vowel sounds in each of the areas. All up to you, but there's specific videos about demonolatry and how to use this in demonolatry practice itself. So you're going to go with demonic forces. Vibrate the actual words which are used in the ends for the demons, which relate to the actual elements which you are invoking. Now, the interesting thing here also, if you go into Eastern practices, Buddhist practices, Chinese, specifically with Qigong and things like that, you're going to find a lot of mention of fire in the chest and water in the belly. And all of these systems always stick to fire in the chest and water in the belly. So bear that in mind when you are working with these. If you start to adapt things, there's a reason why fire is in the chest and water is in the belly. So, don't go completely off track and just start moving things around willy-nilly because that's how you feel like, what you feel like doing. There is a reason for particular things and particular placements. So, just bear those things in mind. Anyway, so that is what I wanted to talk about today. You can actually, if you want to, take the 9 demonic divinities and work those into a 9 chakra system. And that 9 chakra system doesn't specifically need to be the 7 and then 8, and then when we talk about the 8 and the 9 above the crown, we have the crown which connects us to our higher self, and then our higher self connects us to the divine being everything. So that's why this, you've got this 8th chakra, which is kind of, if you just put your hand straight up, it's about there. It's a big golden ball. It's about the size of a basketball. But then the 9th chakra is the center of everything. So if you try and imagine where the center of everything is, you can't really, because it is everywhere. So this becomes the divine. Now, what you can do is change this so you can have a connection with the divine or the higher self into the crown. So you have this big ball above you, this golden ball, and then you have the crown, okay? And then you start working down through the 7. Then you have a connection with the earth. So you've got this connection with above and a connection with below. You can then work with the 9, because that's 9 points. All right, so then you can work with the 9 divinities. And you might want to work with, for instance, starting with Satan as being the higher power, the divine, the all, then working through the chakras, all of the chakras, and assigning the divine divinities into them. And then I would say, you know, with the connection with the earth, particularly work with Eurynomus, or place Eurynomus there. And you can then, as you go through each one, just invoke or intone, vibrate the actual N of each demonic force. So, you know, there's that as well. If you are going to take this 5 system and position these into a nine chakra system, then you would be looking at Satan as being that connection above, and then you start working into the crown. So what we can do then is, let's have a look. We can place Lucifer in the head. I'm just connecting with these 5 here, and then just placing them in the actual position. So Lucifer would then be the head, air, thinking, thought. I would actually place that into the 3rd eye position. Then Ganek is Fleurius, so that would go into the heart because that is the fire. Water is Jaden, that is definitely Leviathan. So you could be placing that into, I'll say into the sacral actually. And then we have Belial, which is earth. I would place that. And see, we could place Belial, if we have a look at the Kabbalistic, we can place Belial then into the throat. If you also, this can get very complicated and convoluted, because if you actually have a look at placing the Kabbalistic tree of life, the Etz Chaim, onto the body, we have Da'at in the throat plate, in the throat area. And if you are wait for it, if you are then working with the Eastern practices, you have Shusumna and Kundalini rising up Susumna, up the central channel. When it gets to the throat, it kind of has a point where it blocks, it stops. You have to really push it through. It's almost like breaking through a barrier. And if we're looking to the Kabbalistic Da'at, that's kind of like the bridge from the material into the divine, into the supernal. And that bridge has to be crossed. So you have this throat area, which becomes Da'at. So, you know, you can carry on talking about this forever and ever in a day and shifting things around, but just try and take everything, all of these particular things into consideration. See where the ties are, where the commonalities are, and then you can work up a good system for it. So, all right, so I could carry on talking about this for a few days. I'm going to stop here though, and I'm going to leave you with that. All right, so have a fantastic week. I will see you next week. Have a good one. Cheers.